Hey everybody, my name is Bradley. Welcome back to my channel. It's great to have you here today. Today's video is all about my first ever wash and distillation on the Air Still Pro. Full disclosure guys, the Air Still as well as the ingredients for this wash, the fermenter, everything, the yeast was provided to me by Still Spirits. I got the whole setup for review. I have not been paid for my opinion or paid to use it. This is truly my own opinion, what I think of it, my own words. They're seeing this when you see this, so there's no early access or even creative input accepted from me or even asked for. However, if you want to support the channel, the best way to support any creator, especially me, is to make sure you're subscribed, make sure you comment, and make sure you like, guys. It's free. It really does help me out a ton and any creator for that instance. So if you enjoy my content, like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. There will also be some links down below that will take you to Still Spirits, as well as a couple other retailers around the world that I know and trust, as well as some affiliate links for More Beer and Amazon that benefit me directly with a tiny commission that helps to keep the brewery lights on. The video you are about to watch contains distillation. All the distillation in this video is in fact distillation of water. No alcohol is being distilled. The purpose of this video is to show you a facsimile of what you could expect if you attempted this yourself. So please remember, distillation may be illegal in your area. You need to check with all your local guidances and laws and regulations to make sure you are staying above board. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. Jumping right into this dextrose wash, that's corn sugar. You first start by putting a quantity of hot water. I heated up water to probably a little bit too warm, but it definitely worked out just fine. There's me dumping in the first bag of dextrose. These are, it's like a metric measurement, but it's around about 5 pounds of dextrose almost going into about 2 gallons of water amongst a few other ingredients. So just get it in there. Dextrose makes a mess, but stir it up. The hot water does help it all to combine. Here we are topping it up to that about 2 gallon-ish mark. I think I went a little over, not the end of the world. You see, I'm very precise with my measurement here, getting everything just right. I want to take a gravity reading, but a hydrometer is calibrated at a much hotter temperature than this, so I'm using the Easy Dents for my reading. The Easy Dents just works out really, really well. You just push some liquid through, you see we're getting a reading, and I'm calling this somewhere at 1091 is where I think we're sitting. And next it's time to dump in, I believe this is like a yeast nutrient slash energizer in this pack. Again, the instructions are all included. They are super well written and well put together. But dump in this energizer stuff as part of the turbo wash, I guess we're doing right now. Stir it in, mix it in really good. And then you dump in this kind of rather gloopy, and I shake it the way I know best how to shake it. Mix it up well. The pack says to massage, but I don't. This is a carbon, literally it's activated carbon. Get that in there. Evidently that helps keep stuff from getting too funky. It definitely does something to filter it, and stir it in. And then it turns the wash into just this super black, I've never done anything like this. And then the yeast, I'm pitching a little warm, but as you'll see in a moment, pitching yeast at even this warm of a temperature, it did not care. The instructions say to stir it in. To me, this is weird as a brewer, but stir it in really, really well. Definitely more than enough yeast to get this thing lit off and fermenting. And as you can see, within a few minutes, that's fermentation active and vigorously fermenting. It was just, it blew my mind how quickly this took off. Definitely, there's something to be said for this, how quick you could turn this type of wash. And there it is in the little fermenter. I really do love this little fermenter, as well as the kit. I'm not just saying that, I really do mean it. And the speed at which it ferments is just impressive. As a novice or a beginner, if you've never fermented before, this is a really easy and approachable wash. I do recommend it. It's a good one to cut your teeth on. I can't say enough good things about it and the process and how concise. Fermentation is complete. I did ferment this guy in a closet in my house in a room that probably stayed about 75, kind of a room we don't go into. And it says to give it a stir to degas. So right now I'm just stirring it, getting any sort of residual CO2 that's in there out of it. You definitely want to degas. And then I'm using a clarifying pack that came with it, not in focus here. I've used something like this when I first started home brewing. I don't recall stirring it in, you just pour it over the top. The instructions for this clarifier from Still Spirits say to stir it in vigorously, let it stand for an hour once you've stirred it, and then to dump in this part B. And here we are letting it stand for that hour. It definitely was super easy, and this is what it looked like. It did change a little bit milky. The wash didn't smell horrible, but it didn't smell like a beer fermentation. Here's that part B, and part B, man, this stuff is absolutely insane. So again, just dump it in, get all of it in there, and then you're going to want to go ahead and mix this as well as best you can. Mix it thoroughly. I'm assuming this helps degas and all of that as a further step. But it says to let it stand for 24 hours. This thing cleared. Again, I did put it in a chamber, and I did reduce the temperature at this point in my fermentation chamber just to help stuff kind of flocculate out and drop out of suspension. Whether you need to or not, I couldn't say. I kind of wish I didn't, so I would know how it works just in ambient. But this is it. This is like an hour later. It's crazy clear. I had some trouble with the lighting to show you how clear it is, but it's absolutely insanely clear at only an hour. I didn't wait a full day just because, I mean, look at this. It's really, really clear, ready to run. So getting the Air Still Pro ready, you want to pop the head off. Obviously, this unit is clean. This is the first time I've ever used it. This is my first ever spirit run, my first ever wash. These little looking teeth thing are ceramic boiling. Hansers are basically like enucleation sites for boiling to occur. This is still conditioner. You know, I don't know if in a sugar wash or dextrose wash this is necessary, but the cost of this stuff is so affordable. I feel like it's an added little protection and insurance. Now, racking off of this, I should have been a little bit more careful. I opened the tap a little bit aggressively. You can see the line of sediment and charcoal and stuff. I got a little bit puke into my container, but not much. I did kind of slow down, and then I speed up a little bit because I get kind of antsy, and it pukes a little bit more. But after that, the other gallon that I pulled out, or a little bit more than a gallon, came out super simply. Now I just dumped it in on top of that conditioner with those boil enhancers in there. At that point, you're pretty good to go. Just top it all the way up to the full line. Again, you probably shouldn't exceed this, but it's definitely a plus or minus thing. Get the lid or the top head unit back on the still, plug in the column essentially that controls the pot, plug it into power. Make sure you have the reflux tip. I am stripping in reflux mode for my stripping runs. I don't know if this is the best practice, but this is what I'm doing. It definitely worked. If you guys know what I should do, that's me getting into reflux is green. And make sure you have the tip installed properly. Of course, threaded in, doesn't need a wrench, just hand tight will do. It has a little seal. And then you want to check the 4-shots container, make sure it's empty and clean, and insert that. Sometimes it's kind of finicky to get in. Once mine has worn in, it does go a little bit easier. But again, if you guys know if I should be stripping or not in this mode, these are the stainless steel saddles, getting those put in. And there's a little lip inside of here. It's kind of a strange, you know, I'm not sure the purpose of that lip, but you just use your finger or even a chopstick if you couldn't. But use your finger, get everything knocked down inside of that column. It's not a big, hard deal. The next deal is you want to dump in the copper saddles. It's always good to have some copper in the vapor stream. It's going to help really pull some bad things out of it that you don't want in there. And there they all are all deep down inside of there. And you want to finish by putting the cap on. And you're basically going to wait for this to start running. Here we are set up for my first strip. Once you start running, the fan will kick on. You might hear the pump cycle. It will start to collect the 4 shots in this little vial pretty rapidly. It fills up. Then it might wait a second before it actually starts to run. And there it is full. And this is the first time I've distilled any sort of liquor. We're dropping the alcometer into the Parrot. That's going to let us see what we're getting straight off the still real time. The Parrot holds about 75 mils, so there's some fluctuation there. It'd be cool if there was a smaller one. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but of one that could use a smaller sample and you get a more accurate on-the-fly reading. But there we are running. I'm going to call that about 85% alcohol stripping run. I think I'm impressed with it. That's quite strong. If you've ever tasted spirit that strong, it will knock your socks off. But just let it run. It did kind of pick up a little bit of purity as I believe the column balanced out and everything settled down, and it pretty much ran and held that kind of above 80% alcohol the whole way through the stripping run as it just dripped away. This time it's honestly a really hands-off part of the process. If you're stripping, there's no need to make cuts. It's all automatic. It's just based on temperature. So as it's going, it's monitoring temperature. Once it gets to a certain temperature, it says, hey, most of the alcohol is extracted from the solution. I use this time to dump some of that wash into my container, let it settle out if I made more of a mess, as you can see there. But it's collecting, this run did take a few hours. It's not unusual for them to take longer or shorter, but there where I see it picked up a little bit of purity as that balanced out as the run progressed. Here we are about the end of the run, and we're checking it to see what I got. There's about, I think, 400 mils out of this one, which is pretty consistent, and that's going to vary based on the percentage of your wash you're putting in, how much you get out. This wash was a pretty good wash, and there we are checking it. It's just, man, it gets so easy. The kit came with everything I needed to make this, if I didn't know anything about brewing, really, or distillation, really obtainable. Here we are getting ready for that stripping run, getting everything in, and the second one's just like the first one. I let it run. I collected a little bit, one of these runs, I don't remember which one, I collected a little bit more alcohol. I'm not sure why or how that was, but that's the way it worked out. I also put distilling conditioner in here. Again, need it or not, I don't know. That's what the bottom of the fermenter looked like. I thought it was kind of cool. It's really trippy to run a wash like this. I've never done anything like it, and I'll definitely be doing it again. And there is that second run. Again, very similar output, slightly less. It all just, like I said, super hands-off, really satisfying, really kind of a unique experience for me. And I really had a great time doing this. This is the most fun I've ever had in a long time, we'll say. There's what I got. Slightly differences between 1 and 2. But again, this is the most fun I've had doing something like brewing or anything in just a minute. So I combined them all together, made a little bit of a mess here, just to try and get an average, I believe, of what everything was done. And it's too much for my little beakers here. These things are awesome. I'll link them below. But there is, all in, again, super consistent. We're calling this somewhere 85-ish % alcohol. Everything to this point has been super easy. Now it's time for the spirit run. First, I dumped in my spirit. I did add a quantity of water to proof it down to 40% alcohol by volume. That's the kind of max that the Air Still Pro can tolerate. And it just dump in some water. You're now at 40%. And this is the part of it where it gets a little more difficult, a little more hands-on, because you do need to make some cuts. You need to figure out the heads and the tails. I plan on doing the rolling cuts method, and it did work. Again, this is my first time ever producing a drinkable spirit. This is not 4 shots at this point, it's all heads. And I collected little tiny bits, trying to detect differences and just learn, what's going on. This is the real hard part of it. This is where the art comes into the whole process. The spirit that I made was honestly pretty dang good for my first ever time. It's better than my first ever homebrewed beer. I promise you that. And it just all worked really simple. And the way these tips kind of each one works, it's a little interesting to me. I wish I knew why. One flowed around the outside and one went down the center, but that's how they work. And I'm not going to show a ton of my cuts in this because honestly, I did make some mistakes and there's stuff I could do better. And I don't want to get bad information out there. But at the end of the day, I did wind up with a drinkable base spirit. All right, so here it is. And just, look at that. That is something special. I actually wound up with a little bit higher proof. This is at 140 proof. I had a little bit less volume at about 160. I proofed it up. I wanted about 750 mils. I think I wound up with somewhere around 800 or so in this. The spirit itself, all of my cuts was fun. My first time, I made some mistakes, but it's not bad. It's quite potent. It should be proofed down for consumption even further. I cannot stress enough, everybody, how much fun this has been. I really, making spirits and distillation is the most fun I've had in the brewing space in quite a while. And I've been at this for about 8 or 9 years, I think, at this point. It's something I really recommend you try. Super rewarding, not too difficult, and very, very fun. What do you say we try this? And again, it's a neutral spirit. It's quite, it'll get you, trust me. And so on the nose, I detect a little bit of sweetness. There's also a little something else in there. It's kind of like I wouldn't call it an off smell, but there's something else. I did filter it through a carbon filter that was included in the kit, but I lost the B-roll because this is high proof alcohol and I might have had a sippy sip. So let's go in for our little sip. Well, it's pretty fiery. It is smooth. It's a good neutral base. You know, this is the first sip of alcohol I've had all day. So clearly, you need another one to kind of get your palate right. It's hot. It's not bad. I made it right here in the brewery. Super simple. All right, everybody. So that's it. This is the spirit. I'm going to follow up where I put some of the still spirits essences in this in a shorter follow-up video pretty rapidly. There's lots more distilling on the way. Remember, I've been Bradley. Home distilling and home brewing are good, and I'll see you real soon. Hot dog. I mean, I don't know about reading beads, but can you tell me? I don't know how. I think you're supposed to like let it flash once and look at it. It's hot. In the course of making this video, I've had a few sips, and well, this is what happens when you're it's all for YouTube. All of it. Yep, that's it.